Hi, this is Allyse Sedivy, and welcome to the Find a Builder program. We are on call number 1. We are going to be talking about two things today, a unique names list and also your recruiting schedule. Now, as we go through these, I'm going to give you step-by-step of how to put these together. And I want you to remember that even if it seems simple, even if it seems maybe that a part of it isn't important, do these steps exactly the way that we talk about it, and you'll find really similar results. So, the step number 1 for your unique names list is, at the beginning of your business, a lot of us, when we put together a names list, we kind of dismiss a lot of people. And we think, maybe they wouldn't be into essential oils, or they wouldn't like this business, or maybe they make too much money, or they don't have enough time, or possibly, I don't know, they're the PTA president and their interest lies somewhere else, or he's a doctor and he's not into natural medicine. What I want you to do for this names list, it's a little bit more unique and different than the first time you wrote your names list out. I want you to put everyone on the list you can think of and try really hard, not just any name that comes to your mind, you write it down, any single name. I don't care if you think that was crazy, write it down, right? Now, don't worry. A lot of these people, we're never going to ask them if they're wanting to do the business with us. So you don't have to put it through that filter. Let me tell you when I was going for double presidential. We were already presidential diamonds, so obviously we had written out names lists before, and we had worked through, a lot of people and a lot of our warm market. And I remember as we were going double presidential, we were talking to David Sterling, and David Sterling kind of challenged us, hey, it'd be really cool if you could walk as double presidential at this next convention. Well, it was the end of October, and at that time, we didn't have any builders on our other account, on our M1 account. So when you go presidential, you have one account. After you go presidential, you can have another account right underneath yourself, and it's called an M1. Well, nothing was in the pipeline. We had not been, courting builders up until that point. We had just been kind of running like crazy with our team and helping them get to where they need to be. And I looked at him and I'm like, that's 9 months away. That means that we would have to find 6 really committed and capable leaders that are willing to go really fast. And they all have to be platinum by next fall, right? By June and July, so they can rank advance. So we could go double presidential. And he looked at me and he said, well, do you think it's possible? And my competitive nature came out, and I'm like, well, of course it's possible, right? And so we wrote out a new names list. And this names list consisted of way more people than we'd even put on our original names list. It consisted of, I think there was 250 people on this list. And our original names list was a lot smaller than that. So I want to remind you that not only are you putting down people on your list that you think would be that would love the oils or would love the business, but you're also going to put people on this list that would be great influencers, meaning that maybe they'll never join your business. Maybe they will never buy essential oils from you, but they know a lot of people. And they're influential and could lead you to the people that you want to be building a business with. In network marketing, it's not the people that know the most people that do the best. It's the people that know how to network into other people's warm markets that do the very best. So I want to remind you that on this list, that you want to be putting influencers also, not just people that you think that you'd love to build a business with. And then I want to just talk to you about, what you're really looking for. We're going to go over it in detail in step 2, but you're looking for characteristics, right, of the people that you would want to be building a business with. So people that you would want to travel with, people that you'd want to, hang out on the beach with, people that you'd want to do business with for decades to come should all go on your list. Now, there is a sweet spot, and I'm going to talk about this for just a minute. There's a sweet spot when it comes to finding committed and capable builders. Sometimes we think, well, I'm going to go for the people that are making the most money, or they're the most influential, or they're the most successful. And I've seen just recently, actually, some leaders in my organization that have come to me and said, I don't get it. I'm talking to all the most influential people. I'm talking to the people that they're mayors of the city and they run incredibly successful businesses. These are people that could do so well. And I have to remind them, we're looking for a sweet spot. Let me tell you what that means. It means, yes, they could be really successful. But the people that are the most successful and the making the most money and that are running the businesses that have 100 employees, or that are mayor of a city, they're probably not very likely to do this business with you, to drop everything that they're doing or the money that they're making and to really dig in and put significant time and energy into this business. They might be great influencers, which means they might refer you to other people that could be, but we're looking for a sweet spot of people that will build for us. They still need to be hungry. They still need to be motivated by money. So it's kind of like right in the middle, that sweet spot where they're influential and maybe they have the potential to be really successful, but possibly they've had a financial setback. Possibly they've had a life setback. Possibly they just haven't been given the right vehicle for them to be really successful. And it's that sweet spot. It's right in the middle, right? Not people that are not influential at all, or, that don't have the right characteristics, and not people that are super, super successful. It's usually the people in the middle that you're going to have the most luck with. So I want you to remember that that's kind of the sweet spot that we're looking for. So step number 1, just to go over it again, is you put everybody on the list you can think of, okay? Step number 2, you're going to rate the people on your list. So you take a piece of paper or a spreadsheet or whatever you want to do it on, or your phone, right? And on one side, you write all the names of everybody that are on your list. Right next to those names, you're going to put a number. That number represents how many characteristics they have that we have found successful builders in doTERRA represent. So let me go back a little bit. Years ago, I remember talking to one of the corporate employees and I was frustrated and I said, I don't know who's going to be good at this business or not. How do you know who's going to be good? And I remember them looking at me and saying simply, you just don't know. And for me, that was so, it was frustrating. It was deflating. It was like, there has to be a way that that you can make an educated guess at least, right? And so what we did is after we had many, many leaders that were diamonds and above, we're talking like dozens and dozens, if not 100 or more leaders that were diamonds above, we started studying out our downline and we looked at these leaders and we decided, what do they have in common? What are some common characteristics that they have that if we found common characteristics, it would kind of lead us in the right direction for who we're looking for in the future. Well, we ended up finding 7 common characteristics. And the first one was that most of the people that became diamonds and above in our organization were women. Now, that doesn't mean that men can't, and we do have men diamonds and above in our organization, but it means that most of them are women. So if we're looking for someone in particular that has the most probability of being successful, it would be number 1, a woman. So that's the first characteristic. And if your person on let's say your person is Jeff, his name is Jeff. And if it's a boy, then you wouldn't give Jeff a point for being a woman. But let's say I'm on your list. My name's Allyse, right? And I would give myself, or you would give me a point. So Jeff would get no point so far, and Allyse would get 1 point. Okay? So the next characteristic that we're looking for is going to be if they have a money need. So this is, I think, really, really, really important. A money need. Okay, so if somebody wants to become a silver or wants to become maybe a gold, a purpose need, and they need to fill their time or they need to feel valuable, that's enough to get them there. But if they want to be a diamond or above, it takes some serious sacrifice to become a diamond. And most of the time, they need to have a money need. Now, I have a builder, his name is Dave Miller, and he was doing really well financially when he met doTERRA, but he really, really, really wanted to have time freedom. And so he joined the business and is now, a blue diamond on his way to presidential diamond. But that is the anomaly. That doesn't usually happen. So the second characteristic you're looking for is that they have a money need. And so, for instance, if you're going down that list of Jeff and Allyse, you would give Jeff a point if he had a money need. And you'd give me a point if I had a money need. All right? Now, the next characteristic you're going to look at is their age. And we found that the sweet spot with age is ages 30 to 55. Let me tell you why. When you're younger than 30, it's a little bit harder. Number one, nothing hurts. You don't use essential oils as much, and the people around you don't have as big of a need for essential oils, and your warm market is very small, right? You haven't lived a lot of places. You haven't been in a lot of, jobs. Basically, your warm market isn't as big. So it's a little harder to find people that are interested, and you don't know as many people. Well, when you're over 55, a lot of times we get tired. And we don't want to start something from the very beginning again, right? And we don't have the energy to be like, okay, I'm going to put another 5 years into building some really significant residual income. Now, obviously, there are, diamonds in the company that are in their 20s. And there are diamonds in the company that they're in their 60s and 70s and even 80s. But that is the anomaly. That is not the norm. So what we'd be looking for is somebody about age 30 to 55. And that's your sweet spot, right? So as you're going through your list and you're rating all of your people, you just give them a point if they're in that age category, 30 to 55, okay? The fourth thing is that they're interested in natural things. Why would this be that big of a deal? Well, because you usually hang out with people that are a lot like you. And if you're interested in natural things, like, for example, you're a chiropractor or an esthetician or a massage therapist, or you're into eating really healthy, or you're super into working out, or any of those things, right? If you're into natural things, usually the people that you're friends with and your family are into those things too. And people that are into natural things have a tendency to love doTERRA products. So that network is much easier to break into and have them be excited about buying the product and building the business. So you're going to give them a point if they're into natural things. But I have to tell you that when I first started this business, I wasn't into natural things. I literally, that wasn't a big part of my life. That's not how I grew up. So just because somebody isn't interested in natural things doesn't mean they won't be successful. It's just one of the characteristic traits you want to look for. Okay, the fifth thing is that they have business and sales experience. Why? Why would this be helpful? Well, it's because there's a difference between an employee mentality where you're told what to do and you wait until somebody tells you what to do, or an employer mentality where you just kind of do it because it needs to be done, or you think ahead, or you're willing to take risks, you're willing to be an entrepreneur, you're willing to sacrifice, and you're self-motivated, right? And those things are hard to teach. They really are hard to teach. I mean, people can get better at it, but if they are a natural entrepreneur and have done business and sales before, then they have a tendency to do better in doTERRA. So you would give every person on your list a point if they've had business and sales experience. The sixth thing is that they're socially influential. Now, an influential person doesn't mean that they're outgoing. There's many outgoing people that are obnoxious, and there's many quiet people that are very influential. Influential basically means that people around them in their social network listen to what they say and do what they're doing. You know, in every group of people, there seems to be one person who's the maverick, who leads out and everyone else follows. These people do very well in doTERRA. So as you're looking over your list, you're going to actually give a point to every single person that you feel like is socially influential. And the last thing is that they have a supportive spouse. Now, if they're single, you won't give them a point for this, because actually with a supportive spouse, it's so much easier to build doTERRA. It's like two people pushing for victory. And with an unsupportive spouse, it makes it much harder, right? They have to almost fight against and swim upstream. So you go look through, and if you don't know if they have a supportive spouse or not, or that they would support them, then you just take your best guess and you give a point for every person on your list that has that characteristic. Now, I want to just tell you that your rating system isn't always perfectly accurate. And just because someone is a 7 out of 7 doesn't mean they're going to do amazing at doTERRA. And if someone is a 1 or a 2, that they could never succeed. Like, for instance, when I first started doTERRA, I was like a 5.5. So, and I've done pretty good. I've done all right. So, what we're going to do is actually we're going to rate all these people. And the reason why is because we want to concentrate and put our time and energy into the people that are 5s, 6s, and 7s. Why? Why would we do that? Well, everybody only has 24 hours of the day. And if we spend all of our hours and our time on people that are 1s, 2s, and 3s, maybe we go to the old folks' home and spend all of our time there sampling and trying to find builders there. We're not going to get as far as if we're spending time with super healthy, super active 35-year-olds that are very socially influential, right? So that's why we're rating this list, so we know how to prioritize who we talk to first and where we put our time and energy in the most are the people that have 5, 6, and 7. They're rated 5, 6, and 7. So that's step number 2, rating your list. Now, do it. Don't overlook this step. It's really critical. And if you're always feeling like, gosh, I can find product users, but I can never find business builders, this is probably one of the reasons. Because you're not putting your time and your attention into the people that have the biggest possibility of being a great builder. Step number 3, we need to decide how you're going to contact each one of the people on your list. Okay? So some people you're going to actually go in person and you're going to talk to them in person. Like if you work with somebody every day and they're right next to you in the cubicle, you're going to see them every day. So it's going to be in person. Or some people, it's most comfortable by phone, right? So if you talk to your mom every day on the phone, or if you talk to your best friend on the phone, it's pretty natural conversation to have on the phone. Some people, it's going to be through text. You have a texting relationship. And some people, your only relationship is through social media or emailing, and that's how you're going to reach out. So step 3 is you just decide how you're going to contact each one of those people. So basically you would say, okay, here's Jeff, and Jeff is a 5. And Jeff, I know from social media, and we interact that way. He likes all of my posts and I like all of his. So I'm going to write down there, I'm going to first reach out to him with social media. Or Sue is a 6. And Sue lives right next door to me. And so I think I'm just going to walk over to her house and I'm going to do it in person. Okay. So that's how you would write down step number 3. All right. Step number 4. Step number 4 is you need to decide whether you're going to use a product approach with these people or a business approach. So, for example, let's say there's a person you work with and they're constantly coughing and sniffing and they have a hard time with allergies and they're just really getting sick a lot. It might be a really natural thing to just lead out with the product and say, you really have got to use this. That like, and we'll show you exactly how you do that. Okay. But what if you have a friend who has done business since they were young and they are really, really into new ideas, it would be really natural for you to reach out and say, hey, I want to share with you an incredible business opportunity. And so maybe it's the business that you approach them with first. And all you're going to do is just write down by their name and then how you rated them, right? And then how you're going to reach out to them. And then next, if you're going to use a business or a product approach. So that's step number 4. Step number 5. After all this is done, after you have your list, and I would try and have you get at least 100 people on your list. At least 100. Now remember, not all of these people you're going to even talk to about the business. I know that you all know 100 people. You all know many, many more than, much more than 100 people. And if you need to jog your memory, you can actually go to Google and just say doTERRA memory jogger. And it will help you bring up, memory jogger that says the people that you went to school with, the people that you go to church with, the people that, sold you your vacuum or your dentist, and it will help you jog your memory. So after your list is done, right? Then we're going to do one more thing. You're actually going to set up a recruiting schedule, a daily and a weekly recruiting schedule. Let me tell you why this is so important. One of the things that I really believe in, that I think is just so true, is a quote by Tony Robbins. And basically it says, if you talk about it, it's a dream. If you envision it, it's possible. But if you schedule it, it's real. I'm gonna repeat that one more time. If you talk about it, it's a dream. If you envision it, it's possible. But if you schedule it, it's real. And one of the things that we fall short in, especially when it comes to contacting and recruiting and finding builders, is we don't schedule our contacting. We don't schedule our contacting and following up. And so life gets busy. I have 5 children, so I can fill up my day with everything but doTERRA every single day and be very, very, very busy. And then after a week or 2 or even a month, look back and say, gosh, where did all my time go, right? I know that you're the same way. We all have tons of things to do in our lives. We're busy people. But what needs to happen is we actually need to put a recruiting schedule down on our calendars, whether it's in your phone, whether it's like an old-fashioned real calendar on the wall that reminds you. Whatever you do, you need to put a recruiting schedule on paper or in your phone or on your spreadsheet. So remember when we said, okay, we're going to go for double presidential and we only have 9 months. 9 months to get 6 people to platinum. That's 9 months to find 6 people, then to build 6 people to platinum, right? So I knew that it would probably take me a couple of months to find all of my builders. Now, let me tell you a strategy that I use. Whenever I need a number, like for instance, if I'm looking for one builder to put frontline, or I need someone to take over a position, what I do is I times that number that I need. So if I need 1 committed and capable builder, I times it by 4. Why would I do that? And I don't say this to overwhelm you. I say this because we want to be effective and I want you to get the results that you're looking for. And what I found is if I need 1 and I find 4 people that seem to be committed and capable, and on the daily mentor calls, it actually goes over in detail how to find out if someone is committed and capable. So go check that out under placements on the daily mentor calls. But when they seem to be committed and capable, what I found that it's usually about 1 out of 4 people that usually go the pace that you want them to go. The same pace that you want to run with. So usually 1 of the 4 don't do much. The other don't do really anything. They decide, yeah, I'm going to do this, and then don't do anything. The other one, they do it, but they're a little slower. And then your 4th one, they're your rock stars. They're the ones that you almost have to run to keep up with, right? So if I needed 6 builders to go double presidential, how many builders did I schedule that I was going to find? Well, 6 times 4 is 24, right? And just for just for safety's sake, I made it 26. So I wrote down on my recruiting schedule, I'm looking for 26 builders. That's a big number, right? But I had kind of a big Herculean task ahead of me. And I basically said, I am going to recruit until I find 26 people. I won't stop until I find 26. So I put a recruiting schedule down. Now, what I recommend you doing is you look at your entire week and you put into your schedule things that you have to get done. Like if you've got to work, if you have a job, put that in. If you have, if you have to take your kids on carpool at certain places, or if you have church responsibilities, or you always go on a date with your husband Friday night, whatever it is, put that in your schedule and then look at the blank space in your schedule. And it's usually a lot more than you think it is. And then you're going to work with that blank space. And I'm going to recommend to you that's listening to this call, 4 hours of contacting and following up a week. I did much more than that. So, I always tell people, if you want to rank advance faster, you don't push your people faster because you got to go at the same pace they want to go with, right? You can't force anybody to be successful. You just put more people into the pipeline and you run with the ones that are ready to run. So I decided, okay, 26 builders. And instead of 4 hours a week, I decided I was going to do 10. So every day, Monday through Friday, I didn't do it on Saturday and Sunday. I kind of needed a break. I was going to do 2 hours of contacting every day. Now, I think it's best if you're doing an hour. If you're going to do 4 hours a week, you can do 4 days and an hour of contacting for 4 days out of the week, right? Some of you might like to do 2 hours, 2 days a week, or 1.5 hours, 3 days a week, or whatever that is. I kind of got in a groove of recruiting, contacting, and following up after about a half an hour. And so I would never recommend to do less than a half an hour block because you just barely start getting into a groove. So I did 2 hours a day. And I'm not recommending that you do this unless you're wanting to go presidential in 9 months, because I think it would burn you out. And we want to get into a pattern, a recruiting pattern of something that we do all the time, something that we can get into a pattern that it becomes a system for us so that we constantly have a pipeline, right, of people that are interested in the business, that are committed and capable. So 2 hours a day I did, and let me tell you what this looked like. I actually scheduled it. And I wrote in there, it was like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And I didn't do the same time every day. Because if you only recruit from 9 to 11 every single morning, or 4 mornings a week, and your people are always going to be at yoga from 9 to 10, you're going to have a hard time getting a hold of them. Or if you only do in the mornings and you never do in the evenings, anyone that works and can't take a call during the day, you'll never get a hold of them. So you want to actually schedule your recruiting time at different times during the week. And that is the most effective way to do it. So if you're going to be doing 4 hours of contacting and following up a week, maybe, on Monday you do in the morning, on Tuesday, you do in the afternoon. On Thursday, you do in the evening. And then on Friday, you do at lunchtime. Something like that, right? And it also depends, of course, on your schedule. If you're working full-time, then you have to work around your own work schedule. Then when you put your recruiting schedule down, I want you to remember something, okay? Recruiting schedule and contacting and following up means this. You're only going to be contacting and following up with people that have not yet signed up in doTERRA. This does not include your downline. This does not include your mother or your sister that you naturally would call. This does not include people that want to do 3-way calls with you, right? This only is people that have not yet signed up in your business. You've got to get really tight with that. So you don't check your email. You don't take calls. I mean, in an hour or two, your business is not going to fall apart. You can contact your leaders back later. And I would literally walk into the room and say to my husband, don't let me come out for 2 hours, right? And I would just get really, really tight. And we're going to talk more about that in the next call with accountability. But you need to have a schedule. I would bet that 95, if not 98% of the people that are listening to this call don't schedule their recruiting. They don't. You don't. And when you don't schedule it, it's not real. Like Tony Robbins said, it's just a dream. And it's so easy to put other things, and have them fill up that spot in your life. You need to schedule it. Well, for me, it took 2.5 months of 2 hours a day, just constant recruiting, 2 hours a day. And, it's not that much, but, it's enough. 2 hours a day of 2.5 months, and I found my 26 committed and capable builders. And guess what? 9 months later, we went double presidential. They all were platinums and above. It was awesome. And, that works every single time that I'm wanting to put new people on my front line. Every single time I'm wanting to hit a new rank. It's always step number 1, creating your names list. Step number 2, rating that list. Step number 3, deciding how you're going to contact each person. Step number 4, decide whether you're going to reach out for product or for business. And step number 5, setting up a recruiting schedule. Now, before you immediately go out and call all these people on your list, wait, because I'm going to tell you the best way to do it and how to perfect that initial call, how to overcome your fear. So what I need you to do right now is I need you to actually don't just go to the next call just because you want to know the next steps. Please don't listen to the next call unless you've done this first. This is your assignment. Put your list together and put everyone on the list that you can think of. Rate the people on your list. Decide how you're going to contact them. Decide if it's business or product and set up your recruiting schedule. When you're done with that, then you can go to the next call. Call number 2, which is recording your experience and accountability. Now remember, for any of you that haven't listened to the intro call for Find a Builder, go back and listen to it, because remember those boys that asked, how do you put together this puzzle? And they were shown exactly how to do it. And they did it quicker and more effective than all the adults that tried it, because they simply just listened and they did exactly what they were shown. This is what I want you to do with this assignment. Don't question it. Just do exactly these steps and you'll be ready for call number 2. I can't wait. We'll talk to you later.